Ibn Qudama the issue of Sujood al-Tilawah. The sujood that is made at the recitation of certain ayat of Quran. In the last dars, we discussed what is the hukam on it. We discussed which ayat are they. We discussed about whether you have to make it at the time or not. But now we need to discuss who all needs to make it. And some other, how do you actually do it? Do you make takbir? How do you do it? Do you have taslim? What do you do? So here, Imam Ibn Qudama, he says, Sujood al-Tilawah ala al-Qari', yani the one who's reciting, wal-mustami' dun al-sami', and upon the one who is actively listening, and not upon the one, somebody who happens to hear it. Mustami' and sami', we'll discuss the difference of this. And this is the mu'tamid of the Hanabala, as Imam Mansur al-Buyuti has mentioned in Sharh of Zad al-Mustaqni', it's called Rawdat al-Murbi', where he writes, it is a sunnah, yani sujood al-tilawah, for the qari', for the one who is reciting, and for the mustami', the one who is actively listening, but not somebody who happens to hear it without the need. Somebody who is just listening, but not listening, but happens to hear it. This is also the opinion of the Maliki madhab. This is that of the Hanbali madhab, but also the Malikiyah, as mentioned in a Risala of Ibn Abi Zayd. He says it is sunnah for the qari' and the one who has the niyyah to listen, but not the one who hears it without the niyyah. This is also the opinion of the Shafi'i madhab, as mentioned by Imam al-Nawawi in his Al-Majmu' and other books of his. He says that Imam al-Shafi'i said that I do not think that it is for the one who hears it, but if he does it, this is fine. And he gives the qawl of al-Shafi'i himself. According to the Hanafi fiqh, yani the madhab of Ahnaf, everyone who hears it, whether they are actively listening, mustami', or they happen to hear it, the sami', have to perform the sujood, as mentioned in the Mu'tamid of the Hanafi fiqh, the book called Mukhtasar al-Quduri. It mentioned that this is wajib. And we mentioned the other ulama, they took it to be sunnah, the Ahnaf took it to be wajib, upon the one who is the qari', the one who's reciting, and the one who hears it, whether he intended to or not. Shaykh Ibn Jibreen, rahmatullah alayh, in his Sharh of Umdah, the book that we're studying, he says that what does it mean, not for the sami'? He says this is the one who did not intend to listen to it, but happens to overhear it. Hence, it is sunnah for the one who is reciting it. Yani if you mention an ayah from the ayat of sujood al-tilawah, then for you as the qari', the one who's reciting, it is sunnah. Is it wajib? No. Because the hadith of Umar ibn al-Khattab, when in Jum'ah from Surah Najm, he recited it, made the sujood. Next Jum'ah, he recited it, did not make the sujood. And then told the people, it is to let you know, to educate you, that this is not wajib. And he didn't perform it after that. This is something very clear. But now, for the one reciting, he recited it. And the one who is listening, he needs to do it. But what about the one who's not intending? Like let's say our brother Ismail is reading Quran, and he reads the ayah of Sujood Tilawah. For him, it is sunnah that he should do it. Tayyib, now if brother Umar is sitting there listening to him, he sat there with the niyyah to listen to brother Ismail read the Quran, then for him it is as well. But if our brother Abdul Rahman is just passing through, he hears it, it is not sunnah upon him. If he does it, there's nothing wrong with it, but it is not upon him. Tayyib, now in the case of salah, everybody in the salah is really listening to the imam. If it's a quiet salah, then you wouldn't know. But if the imam does a sujood, you will follow him. In the loud salawat, if the imam reads the ayah out loud, everybody that's praying behind the imam needs to perform sujood tilawah. But if you have already prayed, you're going through a market, for example, and there's a masjid that salah is going on, and they recite an ayah of sujood, do you, who's just passing through a market, need to make sujood? No. But the people behind the imam, obviously they do. Tayyib, now here, what is the dalail for this? Like the Ahnaf said no, everybody has to. The other three madhahib, they said no. Here, al-mustami' is the one who's actively listening. Sami', somebody who hears but is not actively listening. The proof for this is the Sahih Hadith And the clear hadith from Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu, who said, إِنَّمَا السُّجُودُ عَلَى مَنْ إِسْتَمِعَ. Yani the sujood is for the one who's actively listening. Imam Ibn Hajar Asqalani in Fath al-Bari, he says that Abdul Razzaq, he mentioned with a sanad from Ma'mar on the authority of Zuhri, the great muhaddith of Medina, from Ibn al-Musayyib, from Uthman ibn Affan, that he told the people that the sajda tilawah is for the one who's actively listening. And when Uthman radiyan himself would be going past someone who's recited an ayah of sujood tilawah, but he wasn't sitting to listening, he would not perform the sujood. And when people asked him, he clarified the hukm, telling them that this is for al-mustami', yani the one who's sitting with the niyyah, not for the sami'. And this is, as Ibn Hajar Asqalani says in Fath al-Bari, the sanad is sahih. It is an authentic narration. According to Ibn Hajar Asqalani, there's also the opinion that's been reported from Salman al-Farisi radiyallahu anhu. Imam Ibn Qudama in Al-Mughni. In Al-Mughni, the masterpiece, the book that Imam Ibn Baz, rahmatullah alayhi, when he was asked what is the greatest book of fiqh ever written, he said Al-Mughni. In that book, he shows that this was authentically reported from Uthman ibn Affan at multiple times. And this was reported from Salman al-Farisi, and also Imran ibn Hussein radiyallahu anhu, and also Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. From all of these Sahaba, it is authentically reported that they clarified that this sujood is only for the one that is actively listening. And Ibn Qudama, he mentioned that amongst the Sahaba, we don't know any khilaf on this. Yani ijma' al-sukuti from the Sahaba, that this is for the one who's actively listening. From this, we will go back again to the hadith of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu as well, that in al-Bukhari, in Jum'ah, when he read the ayah of Sujood al-Tilawah from the member, from Surah Nahl, another narration from Najm, he performed the sujood and he had everybody perform it. Next Jum'ah, he read the same ayah, did not perform the sujood. And he did not allow the people to make it. And then after Jum'ah, he explained to them. He said, this is to let you know, it is not wajib. It is sunnah. Uthman radiyallahu clarified that this is for the one who's actively listening. Tayyib. So what does that mean? That means if you're in salah and the imam reads an ayah of sujood tilawah and he does not perform the sujood, the salah is fine. Sometimes it happens and the brothers, they say subhanallah, subhanallah, they start freaking out, and after salah they start jumping up and down. Look, would you do that with Umar? No, you wouldn't. Right? Because then he'd teach you. So if the ayah of tilawah comes and the imam does not make sujood, don't make sujood. And if he never makes sujood, there's no sin. He loses the reward, he should do it, but there's no sin. If the ayah from the ayat of sujood are recited by the imam and he makes sujood, you need to follow the imam. You cannot say, it's sunnah, I'm not going to do it. No. If the imam does something, you have to follow them. It's wajib on you to follow the imam. Now if you are sitting in a halaqah, like after Fajr you have a halaqah of Quran, and an ayah of sujood is recited, everybody in the halaqah needs to make that sujood. Sunnah. But you have to make the sujood. But if they're having a halaqah and you are passing by and you happen to hear it, you don't need to make the sujood. If you're listening to Quran in your car and you're actively listening to it, then you need to make the sujood, but you don't have to crash your car by making sujood while driving. You can delay the sujood. Make it later. If you don't make it, you will lose the reward, but there's no sin on you. Now, about the sujood al-tilawah. If you are reciting the Quran yourself and you recite many ayat from sujood al-tilawah, one sajda will be enough for you. If you make one sajda, is enough for you. Now, how do you perform the sujood al-tilawah? Ibn Qudama says, one recites the takbir while prostrating, and then while raising his head, he performs the tasleem. Tayyib. According to Ibn Qudama, this is the correct way of sujood tilawah, and we'll mention this. What we know by ijma' of this ummah, there is only one sajda. Ijma'an, Ahnaf, Shawafi', Malikiyah, Hanabila, Sujood al-Tilawah is not two sujood like salah. It's only one sajda. Tayyib? Now, if you're in salah, the imam will say Allahu Akbar and he will go into sujood. Do you make raf' al-yadayn while making sujood al-tilawah in salah? Yes or no? How many people think yes? Raise your hands. How many people say no? Raise your hands. And a lot of people just no opinion, huh? Tayyib. The correct opinion is sujood al-tilawah. In salah, no raf' al-yadayn. Why? Because this is like you going into sujood. When you start your salah, you make raf' al-yadayn, yes or no? Yes. When you're going into ruku', you make raf' al-yadayn? Yes. When you're getting up from sujood, from ruku', you make raf' al-yadayn? When you're going into sujood in salah, do you make raf' al-yadayn? No, you don't. So when you're going into sujood al-tilawah, no raf' al-yadayn. This is the stronger, clearer opinion. Now, a different issue is you're sitting there reading the Quran by yourself, and you run into an ayah which has a sujood of tilawah. According to ijma of the ummah, you will make one sajda, not two, like regular salawat. You will say takbir. You will say Allahu Akbar and go into sujood. But do you make raf' al-yadayn or not? Outside of salah, according to Ibn Qudama, yes. And what is the dalil for that? He said because this is a form of salah. Ibn Qudama took this to be a form of salah. But then other ulama said, well, no, it's not a salah because it's only a sajda. There's no qiyam, there's no qira'ah. He said, Ibn Qudama al-Mughni, what about janazah? Salat al-janazah, there's no ruku, there's no sujood. He said this is a different type of salah, and the salah requires raf' al-yadayn to begin, the takbir and raising the hands, and it requires taslim to end every salah, whether it is janazah or otherwise, whether it has ruku or not. Now there's khilaf ulama here, but I'm giving you the opinion of Ibn Qudama. So here, according to Ibn Qudama, even if you read the Quran by yourself, you say Allahu Akbar raising your hands, you make one sajda and then you make taslim. This is the opinion of Ibn Qudama. Other ulama disagreed with this. Now, when we look at the clear dalail, we don't have anything sarihan to show this. Rather, we have what Ibn Qudama, he says that this is a type of salah, and Rasulullah said the beginning of salah is takbir and its end is taslim. So everything that's salah, it should be this way. Other ulama, they disagree, and Allah knows best. We don't have a sarih hadith on this. So if somebody takes the opinion of Ibn Qudama here and does the takbir, raising the hands and making taslim, nothing wrong with this. If somebody takes another opinion, there's nothing wrong with it, because there's no sarih dalil here. This is where there is room for khilaf amongst ulama. Tayyib. Now, regarding the saying of takbir while raising up from sujood, marfu'an, we have from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam no clear dalil. Yani when you say Allahu Akbar to go into sujood outside of salah, you say Allahu Akbar getting up, but there are mawquf ahadith from the ulama, so this is something from the Sunnah as well, and there are many narrations for this. Tayyib. Now, when we look at the Ahnaf, they said there is no tashahhud and no taslim in sujood al-tilawah, but there is takbir. According to Malikiyah, they say you do not take taslim as well, and the Hanabila, they said that there is takbir and there is taslim because the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the miftah, the key of salah is tahara, and its opening is takbir and its closing is taslim. Now, when we look at the importance of sujood al-tilawah, it is sunnah. We don't say it's wajib because the hadith of Umar, but I will mention the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, where he mentioned from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it mentioned the Sahih of Imam Muslim. He says that when the son of Adam recites the ayah from the ayat of tilawah, of sujood, ayat of sujood, and he makes a sujood, shaitan, he withdraws from him and he starts crying and he says, woe is to me, yani to shaitan. He says that he يعني the son of Adam, he was ordered to make sujood, يعني in those ayat, and he made sujood, so for him is Jannah. He says, I was ordered to make sujood, يعني to Adam alayhi salam, I disobeyed, so for me is the nar. SubhanAllah. When you recite these ayat of sujood, and you make the sajda, the shaitan, he gets upset. Because it shows us, as believers, we obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and make that sujood. And the shaitan, he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so he is cursed in the nar. I'll mention one more issue which is not in Al-Umdah, but in Azad al-Mustaqni and others, which is the sajda for shukr. It is related to sujood of Tilawah, which is, we see from Abu Bakr, not Abu Bakr, but Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard some good news, he would go into sujood. And Imam Ahmad has also mentioned from Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam that in the Sanad, which is Sahih, that when the armies were winning, then Aisha radiallahu anha said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would make the sujood to make shukr. And we see at the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, at the death of Musaylim al-Kadhab, at the death of the false prophet Musaylim al-Kadhab, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he made sujood of shukr. So sujood of shukr is also legislated in Islam. There is no salatul shukr. Like some people say, make salatul shukr. There is no such thing as salatul shukr in Islam. If you make 2 rak'ah, nafal, to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nothing wrong with that. It's good to make nawafil, but there is no such salah as salatul shukr, but there is sujood al-shukr, to make sajda to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we end the lesson today. When you have the ayat of sujood, if you are the reciter or if you're an active listener, then it's sunnah, and emphasize sunnah for you to make the sujood. And if you're in salah, you follow the imam. If you're by yourself, then you make it by yourself, saying takbir and taslim. And if there is some good news that comes to you, you also make the sajda of shukr, both of them being one sajda, not 2. Jazakumullahu khairan.